Welcome to National Signing Day 2015 with the Indiana State Sycamore program. I'm Meghan McKeown, joined here by Indiana State head coach Mike Sanford, also named Coach of the Year this past season. Let's talk a little bit about your recruiting class and how you feel about them.
We're very excited about this class. We feel like we had specific needs that we addressed and on both sides of the ball, and I feel very good about it. I think we improved our talent level. And, you know, we created a lot of competition on our team, and that's always good.
Now, why do you think you guys had so much success recruiting this season?
Well, I think it's kind of building off of our season. You know, we're a program that is trending up, and, you know, I mean, there's programs going different directions. And we believe our program is going in a very positive direction. Biggest improvement in college football from 2013 to 2014. And we feel like that's just a foundation for us to take off from here. We also, I mean, you look at some of the things we accomplished last year, beating an FBS opponent in Ball State for the first time in the school history. And then also we beat 8 ranked opponents last year. We ended up going to the playoffs for the first time in 30 years here at Indiana State, and then, you know, we ended up the season ranked number 18th in the country. Those are all things our season that happened in our season, and then I think also just our coaching staff did an outstanding job. We have really good coaches. They're very good recruiters, very good evaluators. And, you know, and I think that'll be something as people watch the rest of this video, they'll get a chance to meet our coaching staff and see why we're moving in the direction we're moving.
Certainly a cast of characters, I might add, with your coaching staff. But how were you, first of all, able to address your needs on offense? Well,
we were able to sign 15 players, and we had some needs at a couple of positions. Big needs at the two biggest needs were an offensive line, where we signed 5 guys, and then receivers, where we signed 4. And then also running back, we felt like we needed to improve our running back position. We signed 3 at that position. And quarterback, we signed 1 at the mid-year, and that was Zach Klein, who from Cal and also from Butte Community College. And then also Brock Rudder, who is a young freshman quarterback from Chicago.
Excellent. Now, how were you able to, again, address your needs on the defensive end?
Well, the interesting thing on defense is we have 10 out of 11 starters returning. So what we needed to do was improve certain things in our team. Specifically, we wanted to improve the length. In other words, the height and athletic ability of our defense. I think we did that. We wanted to improve the competition and the depth. And we specifically, the biggest need was in the defensive line. We ended up signing 5 defensive linemen with a combination of noses and defensive ends, and that was positive. The other need was in the linebacker area. We signed 3. A total of 10 players that we signed, and so 8 of them are from the front 7, so we're going to create a lot of competition up front.
Now, you guys have a wide variety of where these kids are from, a lot from Indiana, but also nationwide. Can you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's interesting. We're represented by 12 states, which is cool. First of all, and we always say in recruiting that we start close to home first, and we're represented in the state of Indiana with 6, which I think is a good way to start. The other thing that's interesting this year is we ventured into 2 new places. One of being Florida, and that's where the second amount of players. We had 4 from Florida, which was a great thing. We got a great return on that work that we did there, and we didn't spend a whole lot of time and got a great return. So that was really good. Then we also we got 4 out of Pennsylvania, and there's a great history here at Indiana State, as some of the ex-players will know, of players out of the state of Pennsylvania. And we got 4 out of Pennsylvania. I'm sorry, 3 out of Pennsylvania, 2 out of Ohio, and then we had a bunch of other states represented, Kentucky too, and then there were several other states where we had 1.
Well, that's excellent. We look forward to seeing how they will do. But give us a brief preview of the 2015 football schedule.
Well, we're really excited about the 2015 season. It's exciting because we go to an 11-game season next year. We have 6 home games and 5 away. We open at home versus Butler on September 5th, and then we go to Purdue, which would be a great game for us to go to West Lafayette and play them. And then we come back home and play Southeast Missouri State here at home. And then we have a bye, and then our conference schedule starts. We have 4 home conference games, and we think this is a great schedule. This is kind of like the epitome of the kind of schedule we'd like to have here at Indiana State, and it's exciting going into the 2015 season.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to getting ready to meet your recruiting class.
Yeah, this is exciting what we've done, and I invite you to watch the rest of this video and watch as all of our coaches talk about all the different players at their position, and we're very excited about this class and looking forward. We can't wait to get started in 2015.
Welcome, I'm Meghan McKeown here with Indiana State head football coach Mike Sanford. We're going to start off by talking about some of the mid-year signees the Sycamores have coming in. Coach, you guys excited?
We're very excited. We have 4 brand new players that signed in December that are here on campus now. We're very excited about that.
Now, with these mid-year signees, how are you guys addressing the loss of quarterback Mike Parrish?
Well, Mike Parrish was obviously a senior quarterback, had a great year, and he's a tough one to replace. But we have signed a quarterback in this class by the name of Zach Klein. He is, we think he's an excellent quarterback. He's from Butte Junior College in California. Prior to that, he played at University of California. And the interesting thing about that is he did the opposite thing that Aaron Rodgers did. Aaron Rodgers went to Butte and then went to Cal. Zach went to Cal and then to Butte. So hopefully he's that kind of player.
Yeah, hopefully he plays like Aaron Rodgers a little bit. That'd be good for you guys. Now, where do you see him in this quarterback situation moving forward?
Well, first of all, returning in this class or in our program right now, we have Matt Adam, who was a redshirt freshman last year. He'll be a redshirt sophomore. He and Zach Klein, who just signed and is here in school right now, the 2 of them will compete for the starting job.
Well, excellent. Let's move forward to Roland Genesee. You're losing Buck Logan, who was a great player for you all year. What have you done in this mid-year class to replace him?
Well, I think, Roland Genesee is a big physical back. He's 6'1", 225. His background is he signed out of high school to University of Tennessee Martin, transferred from there to Glendale Community College in Arizona, and had a great year there. And we think he's the big physical back. Kind of a leader, kind of a mature guy for the running back group.
Excellent. Now, you have a local Terre Haute product in this mid-year class. Tell us about him a little bit, Calvin Blank.
Yeah, Calvin Blank. We're excited to get Calvin. Calvin is a Terre Haute North graduate, went on to Ball State. I think he must have enjoyed watching us beat Ball State last year. Because he is transferring to us, and we're very excited. He's a big, strong, 6'4", 245 tight end that will help us out a lot in the inline blocking and then also as a receiver.
Now, you also have Chris Overton. Now, you lost 4 seniors to graduation. What can the Sycamore Nation expect from the mid-year wide receiver?
Well, Chris Overton, it's interesting. First of all, he's very fast, very athletic, very exciting player. He is a transfer from Kent State University. Before that, he went to Glenville Academy in Cleveland, Ohio. We're very excited about him. He's very bright, very exciting. We just think he's an excellent player, and we're excited he's part of our program.
Excellent. We're joined now by Coach Shepard, the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach for the Indiana State Sycamores. Let's talk about Zach Klein, a really big get for you guys as a transfer.
Yeah, so Zach, when we started recruiting Zach, first of all, initially I used to coach at UCLA, and initially we saw Zach at a young age, early on, freshman year, throwing a little bit, and just because of his reputation in California, he's kind of a guy that you know about a little bit. And so being from California and having friends there, we were able to track him a little bit. But then, so as Coach Sanford, I know, talked about, Zach's a guy that went the opposite Aaron Rodgers deal. So he went from Cal to Butte and then to Indiana State as opposed to the other way around. Zach, highly recruited guy out of high school, just a lot of ability. He's pretty much the guy you want to recruit. Early on, our evaluations of him, I mean, he is very, very, very accurate. He's an accurate guy. He moves around. He's not necessarily a straight-ahead runner, but he's elusive and he's very athletic, and that's something we look for. He's got all the velocity to make all the throws, the deep throws, the intermediate throws. He's got a quick release, so he gets the ball out quick, and the big thing is he's decisive. You see him making decisions, and that's the thing QB-wise. Are they going through progressions? Are they just looking at one guy and running? He actually sets the protection. He'll change the protection. He knows where to go. He gets to his third progression if need be. He doesn't force the ball, which is huge at a young age. And so his development is something, plus seeing a guy play at the college level. We knew some coaches at Cal. They highly recommended him, and just thought, he was a great player. The guys at Butte we knew real well. Coach Sanford had a good relationship with. And so, yeah, recruiting him has been great. I mean, he's got the football IQ. He's actually very athletic. He does jiu-jitsu. And he's also a power lifter, and so which you don't see out of a quarterback a ton. So, and he's not a huge guy. I mean, he's 6'2", 215, but he's well built and kind of wiry. I like it.
Absolutely. Now, leadership-wise, how does he do?
Leadership-wise, he's awesome. I mean, he's a guy, like we talked about before, he's a guy that raises the bar, raises the level of play from everybody else on the team. I think Zach comes in and just his demeanor. He's got the demeanor that he comes in and kind of commands respect a little bit because he kind of, to me, embodies servant leadership. He does his job in a way that allows others to do their job better and easier. And he's a guy that's a team player. He's for the cause, anything you need. And that isn't him in the recruiting process and the honeymoon period with the coaches. That's him with the players. That's him from other places we've been, other places we've heard him, how he is and all that kind of stuff. But leadership-wise, I mean, he's awesome on the field. He's great with just his mannerisms, body language, stuff like that. He's great in the weight room. He loves class. I mean, he was 6 hours away from graduating, 4 classes away from graduating at Cal. So, I mean, when he left there, he was a guy that he was doing all the right things, and it just ended up not being his job. And so he left, and he gets another shot here, but he fits in perfect. And leadership-wise, I think he raised the level of play. I think he gets on the field, makes everybody better. So we're looking forward to that.
And right now you kind of have a vacancy at quarterback with your star Mike Parrish leaving. Where do you kind of see Zach fitting in?
We see Zach fitting in. I mean, really our quarterback situation with Mike leaving, who is, obviously the guy. We have, we got Matt Adam, we got Trent Lancaster, we got Isaac Harker. We got some guys that are there that do a really good job. Matt does a really good job last year. But the biggest thing is, competition breeds success. So bringing Zach in to compete, which he's a competitor. He loves competition. I mean, we have Matt drills this morning, and he's battling, Matt's battling, Isaac's battling. We try to bring the right kind of guy in at quarterback, and he's definitely that kind of guy. And the good thing is it's wide open, and guys are going to get shots to win the job. Guys are going to get shots to compete, but it's an all-the-time thing at the quarterback room. One thing we say in the quarterback room is the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So the way these guys are off the field usually translates to on the field. And, these are guys that, they're not missing class. They're getting to weights early, getting things done, finishing sets, affecting others, and the biggest thing about Zach is he's one of the guys. He's a dude. He's a guys that linemen like, running backs. I mean, the guys on the team like him. He's kind of like one of their guys, and he's kind of goofy. And but leadership-wise, I mean, just about him. I mean, he's a believer. He's a Christian guy. He's a guy that he puts his faith first, as I do. He's not perfect. Doesn't pretend to be, but all of his goals are out there. His priorities are in the right place, and he affects his team really well. So. We got good guys in the quarterback room, and spring ball is going to determine a lot as far as who the guy is going into summer, going into fall, but it's going to be open, and somebody's going to go get it, so it's going to be exciting.
Well, that will be an exciting thing to keep eyes on. Now, how does he fit in with your offensive scheme?
I think he's ideal. I mean, all the way around, high football IQ, like we said. He knows variations in defense and fronts and coverage, and we're not just – when he's out there, we felt like we needed a guy that – we're not just running plays. He's a guy that knows why we're running this play, that play, knows the down and distance, the situation, and has the right demeanor and can affect the pace of the game with his mannerisms and understands all that. So as far as the offense, he can make all the downfield throws. He's great with play action, and he's a movement guy. We'll be able to move with him a little bit, things like that. So very excited about that he kind of fits in perfectly. So, and you know how it is. You try to recruit to the offense, try to recruit to what you want to do offensively, and we couldn't have done better. I mean, we've been recruiting him for so long that we had such a great relationship. You know, I mean, his grandfather's a former coach, and he actually, his grandfather and his grandmother drove him 36 hours out here, and then they flew back, which is smart by them. But so he's the kind of guy that fits in perfectly. It's exactly what we do. So he's going to flourish in the offense if he ends up being the guy.
Do you have any more fun stories about Zach for us?
Zach. So Zach. I called Zach right before Christmas, asked what he was doing, and he is the second quarterback that I heard for Christmas is going to be going to the Rose Bowl. So, yeah, I don't know. So Brock and Zach, those guys caught up out at the Rose Bowl, and you know, they were both out there. Zach was out there. He drove down with his grandparents, and that was kind of his gift for Christmas too. But really, Zach's awesome. I mean, he's you know, he's a driven guy. Like I said, some of the fun stories is he's a power lifter. He's into jiu-jitsu, but really when he got here, just the easygoing nature. Sometimes the right demeanor just sets people at ease, and it kind of motivates people. I feel like he's got the demeanor, he's got the work ethic, he's got the tenacity and the competitive drive to really be the guy. And so he's going to affect a lot of people. I'm just excited to see what's going to happen in the spring because he's already impressed a lot of people on campus so far, and I don't see any reason it would stop. I just expect him to get better and better.
All right, well, we look forward to seeing what he does for you guys next year. I'm here with Zach Klein, a redshirt junior transfer from Butte College in California. How's it been in Terre Haute so far?
It's been great. It's been cold for sure, but overall, you know, I've loved the team. My roommate's from here, so we've been able to stop by his parents' house and have a home-cooked meal, so that's been nice. But
who's your roommate?
Calvin Blank, tight end. So, yeah, it's been good. It's been good to build the connection before we step on the field and, you know, start throwing passes together. So it's been nice.
Well, good. Now talk a little bit about why did you choose Indiana State?
Mainly because of the coaches and, you know, just the season that they're having, and there's a lot of upswing coming from this program. So, you know, when I was in the recruiting process at Butte, the presence that the coaches had and how they were with me was, you know, I just knew that's where I wanted to be. That's where I wanted to end my college career and, you know, play these next 2 years out and see what happens and compete and you grow as a man, grow as a Christian, and grow as a player. So, and this is the place.
Now talk a little bit about your recruiting process in general. When they reached out to you, had you heard of Indiana State before? Was it just an automatic no-brainer?
Yeah, I heard about Indiana State before, just FCS and knowing about North Dakota State and, you know, this conference. But, you know, upon looking at the team and watching them play on, you know, online and stuff, and, you know, talking to the coaches, I've really had a really close connection, a close bond with, you know, Coach Shepard and Coach Sanford. So, you know, it took a few weeks to kind of, you know, just see things out and get to know each other. And after that, it was a done deal. I knew probably about 3 weeks after they called and we've talked that I was going to go there.
Now you've been on campus for a few months now. What have you noticed about this team so far?
Really tight-knit. It's the most tight-knit team I've been a part of. The team comes to work. They come and play. You know, it's all seriousness. It's all business. Once we're in the weight room, and you know, when we get a little captain's practice throwing together, it's all serious. So, and that's something that I was looking for. You know, coming from programs that, you know, that didn't win when I was at Cal, and you know, Butte was junior college, and I wanted to go to somewhere where we were going to have a great time and be a team and win and grow as a player and grow as a team and grow as friends and stuff like that. And that's totally apparent when you're looking at practice, when you're looking at, you know, us in the weight room. These guys come to work. They want it. They want that title. So, you know, I'm happy to be a part of it.
Now, you mentioned the weight room. How has off-season workouts been going for you?
They've been tough. Coach McManus is definitely a top-tier strength coach. He knows what he's talking about. And he'll send you through the ringer, that's for sure. So you're going to get better. You're going to get stronger and faster. So it's been very helpful for, you know, coming into spring ball that we're going to be in shape and strong.
Now, this program set a really high standard now, making it to the playoffs. How do you plan on helping this team get back there next year?
Working as hard as I can. Starting to get this playbook down. That's what I need to do, and just really develop bonds with the guys on the team and go in every day and know that, you know, this is this is my last shot to really, do well and do something that I've wanted since I was 8. And, that's what I'm going to do, is just work as hard as I can. Everything else, I'm just going to give it to God. So, yeah.
What are you most excited about moving forward?
Spring ball, that's the most exciting. Every player is just extraordinarily pumped up for spring ball. That's going to be a great time, being able to strap on the helmet again and put on the pads it's always the most exciting time of the year. So.
Well, hopefully spring will be warm for you here because you are a Cali boy.
Yeah.
So real fast, so what's you planning on majoring in at Indiana State?
Oh, I'm an English major. I'm almost done with that, and I'm thinking about taking on another major in psychology and maybe doing grad school my last year, but I don't know. Right now, English, and it's fun. It's cool.
Good. And finally, what's your favorite Coach Sanford story you have for us? It can be funny. It can be serious. We hope it's funny, though.
Favorite Coach Sanford story? Well, it's been, pretty early, so he's an extraordinarily nice guy, and I could tell that when my grandparents moved me in here, we drove 36 hours to Indiana, and we were able to, talk, and my grandparents were able to meet with him, and, they really enjoyed that. So that was really important to me, is that he took the time out of his day to, talk with my grandparents and introduce himself. And they went to the same church back in, 93 or something like that, or 80-something, actually. So, yeah, it's kind of eerie, but it's cool.
Well, pretty cool. It sounds like we'll see great things from you this year. Thank you, Zach Klein. I'm joined now by Coach Everett, the running backs coach for the Indiana State Sycamores. Let's talk a little bit about Roland Genessee and how his recruiting process went.
Roland, his recruiting process was really easy. We hit it off from the jump. Whenever you're recruiting good kids, that's the best part. We're very, very similar. We like the same things. We joke a lot on each other. I often talk about his head. But that's definitely one of the biggest things that he has on him. He's got a great head on his shoulders. I recruited him because I see him, with Buck leaving, being a leader for me. He's a very, very mature young man and does a lot of great things.
Well, it sounds like he really brings it to the weight room as well.
Yeah, he does. He does. His father actually owns his own facility, and so that's one of the things that intrigued me about him. I actually got a chance to see his father and meet him. Man, he's huge. He is big. Roland, you can tell that his dad really instilled that in him, and that's a big, big thing for me as well. Just the hard work that he puts in, and it's going to help our group. What
impact do you see him making on the field?
Right off the get-go, huge. Just because with like I said, Buck Logan leaving, he's gonna be that back that comes in as a leadership role. He's played a lot of football so far, and then obviously being first team all-conference in the ACCAC out in Arizona junior college ranks. So I think he was like the 11th leading rusher in the nation. So like I said, he's played a lot of football, and he's going to come in and make an immediate impact.
Well, that sounds good. What about off the field? What do you foresee him doing?
Just being a man of character, one of those types of guys that's a role model for the young backs that we're bringing in. That's pretty much it.
Now tell us something about Roland that we might not know about.
Roland's favorite artist is Adele. Yeah. First time he got into my car, he's like, "Coach, you got any Adele?" And I was just like, "Adele?" And I was like, "Yeah, we can put it on." My wife likes to listen to Adele, so that's always good.
It sounds like, yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like he's got a very broad musical taste. Very nice. Now, you're a former Sycamore yourself, so I have a challenge for you. Can you sing me a little bit of the fight song?
Yes. March on, you fighting Sycamores, Sycamores. Love Indiana State. Love Indiana State.
Well, thanks, Coach. We look forward to seeing what Roland does next year for the Sycamores. I'm joined now by Roland Genessee. You're a mid-year transfer, redshirt junior, running back. Tell me a little bit about your background.
I originally signed with UT Martin out of high school. I was there for a year and a half, I redshirted. I went to Glendale Community College in Arizona, and I ended up here.
What made you choose Indiana State?
I chose Indiana State because I felt like it was the best opportunity for me, especially with Buck Logan leaving. And the vacancy was wide open, and I feel like the best chance for me to come in and play right away.
Let's talk a little bit about your recruiting process. How were the coaches?
Coaches were great. Coach Everett, Coach Shepard. Like, they actually were the first school to offer me in JUCO. And
Do you have any good stories about them?
Yeah, me and Coach Everett, we got a real good relationship. Like, we always joke around, and like before I even met him in person, like we talked on the phone, I could already see that we're gonna have a good relationship, good bond.
All right, great. Now, you've been here for a few weeks now on campus. What have you noticed about the team so far?
The team, like, they welcomed me in like I was a family already. Like, they already knew me, and the guys, they were all cool, and I can tell that they, this past season they wanted to get further than they did. So, like, as far as working out in the weight room, everybody ready.
How have off-season workouts been so far?
They've been real. Coach McManus, he's a good trainer, strength conditioning coach, and he's always excited, which helps the players out because, most of the time coming in the weight room, you drag and don't want to work out, but he excites everybody.
Well, you probably get hyped yourself. You are an exercise science major, have interest in being a personal trainer, and your dad has a background in that as well.
My dad, he actually owns the biggest training facility in Memphis. It's by the airport, and when I get done with school, I want to be a personal trainer with him and just kind of like join the family business.
Well, that sounds good. Are you excited about your 6 a.m. run tomorrow?
Excited as I'm going to be, yeah.
Well, that's good. What else can you do? But how do you see yourself being a part of helping this team get back to the playoffs next year?
I'm going to just come in right away and, just try to fill their running back position. And really, I'm just a team player, and whatever the team needs me to do, I'll do it.
Now, I know it's a little colder than Memphis here, but how has Terre Haute been treating you so far?
It's pretty cool here. It definitely doesn't get this cold in Tennessee, but, I like the town so far. They have all the restaurants you can, want to eat at. And actually, the only thing I knew about Terre Haute and Indiana State was Larry Bird before coming here.
It's a good reason to know about Terre Haute and Indiana State. Now, talk about your favorite restaurant here so far.
I think it's called Moe's. Is it Moe's?
It's Moe's. That's a chain. What's your favorite, Terre Haute restaurant?
Let me see. Oh, on my visit, we went to, is it 7th and Elm Street or some place?
7th and Elm?
Yeah.
Good wings?
Yeah, they had good wings. I like that place.
Well, I'm sure they sound good. I'll have to try them out sometime. Finally, what are you most excited about in regards to this season?
Really, I'm excited for the first game against Purdue, just strapping it up and getting out there with the guys and bringing home that victory.
All right, well, we look forward to seeing you in that game. Joined now by Coach Matt Murphy, the tight ends and tackles coach for Indiana State. You guys signed a mid-year guy in Calvin Blank. He's a local kid.
Yeah, he's actually a hometown kid. He's from Terre Haute. He went to Terre Haute North High School. And then he actually came to us as a transfer from Ball State, so we actually had the opportunity to play him and scout him a little bit on defense. And when we heard that he was a transfer, we kind of knew what we wanted and liked in him, and it's a good fit so far.
Now, you guys had a pretty big win over Ball State last season. Do you think that one had anything to do with his decision?
I think he thought about it during his decision. Anytime you get the chance to watch or compete against a team, you get a feel for how they play, what type of schemes they run. So he definitely had some more information that could impact his decision. But I don't think it's what drove him to make his final decision to come here. He had other offers. He went on a visit to Illinois State. So ultimately, for one reason or another, he decided to transfer, and he decided that Indiana State was the best place for him. And so we're excited to have him as part of the Sycamore family.
Where do you see him kind of fitting in with his position group at this point?
Well, as a mid-year guy, it's always important to compete early. And with Calvin, I think that's one of the reasons we took him. We think with his size, he can come in and contribute right away as far as offensively and special teams. He's a good-sized kid. He's 6'4", 240 pounds. He could definitely help us in the run game with his size and strength, setting the edge and zone, and setting the point of attack and power. He can move guys out of the way, which is good. And he's also athletic. He's a high school basketball player. Had a successful run in the playoffs when he was there. So he has good feet. He can release and run downfield. We can split him out, use him as a wide receiver in some certain situations. So he's athletic and go up get the ball. So on the field, he definitely is a physical presence, and he has a lot of versatile aspects, which will make it hard for defenses to defend. But also a good thing about Calvin is off the field, Calvin holds a 3.78 GPA, and a smart kid, so he can come and pick up the playbook really well. And he also just was admitted to one of our specialty programs in the rural health program here at Indiana State. So he is looking to become a doctor eventually after his career. So we're very excited about Calvin. He has a very bright future here at Indiana State.
And how important is it to not only have these athletes, but student athletes?
Well, I mean, grades are important. I mean, they have to have the grades to play. If they don't have the GPA, they can't even be here in school. So to have a guy that I don't really have to worry about or babysit in the classroom makes it we can focus more on football from my aspect, because I know that he can take care of his grades, and he's a smart guy, and he has very high aspirations off the field, which is driven people will be good for this program.
And how important is it to get these local guys from Terre Haute?
It's very important. We focus very hard on not only recruiting Terre Haute but Indiana. I think most of our recruits come from that because we want to take care of our home first. Our fans and where we come from. We have pride that we're from Terre Haute, and we like our facilities, we like our stadium, and we want to represent that not only in how we talk to the public but also in the guys we take.
Well, we look forward to seeing what Calvin does for you guys next year. I'm joined now by Calvin Blank, who just transferred here from Ball State. You're a redshirt sophomore tight end. What made you choose Indiana State?
The coaches were real welcoming. I just thought I bonded really well with my position coach, and I really enjoyed the offense.
Now, you probably have noticed Calvin before. You're a Terre Haute North grad, Terre Haute native. Talk about what it's like to be back here with your family.
My apartment is actually down the street from my parents, so I can pop in anytime and see them. It's kind of like an Everybody Loves Raymond situation over there, so I enjoy it. I get to see a lot of my friends from high school that I didn't get to see so much when I was up in Muncie, so it's really nice to be back home.
Do you make your mom do your laundry?
Yes, I do.
How does she feel about that?
It's just what she does.
No. Well, thanks, Mom. Now, talk a little bit about your recruiting process.
I got my release, and I got in contact with the coaches, and I knew several of the players in the team, and so I kind of had a source from them, and then the coaches were just great and pretty patient with me going and visit other schools to really make the right decisions for me and my family. So, they were just great throughout the whole process and made me comfortable.
Now, you've been here for a few months so far. What have you noticed about this team?
They're really welcoming. My first day here, a lot of guys came up to me, talked to me, asked me about how it felt to get beat by them. And it was just nice. They pretty much accepted you as one of the guys from day one, and not a lot of places are like that. So it's very refreshing to find that here.
Let's talk a little bit about how the off-season workouts are going in the weight room, on the field, running.
Well, we have a 6 a.m. run tomorrow. I'm not sure how that's going to go, but lifting is lifting. You're gonna work hard everywhere. It's just the people around you, and it's fun. I enjoy it, being around the guys. So,
how's the atmosphere been?
It's been enthusiastic. Coach McManus likes to get after people, so it's been it's just great, refreshing.
Now, this team made it to the playoffs last year. They've set a really high standard now for the program. How do you see yourself helping them get back to the playoffs?
Contributing in any way possible, whether it's special teams and offense, helping younger guys figure out what they're doing, just being a total team player and helping the team win.
What are you looking most forward to coming up this season?
Getting into camp and really getting to know the guys, forming some camaraderie with them, and winning games.
Now let's talk a little bit about off the field. You are a pre-med bio major. What do you want to do with that?
I want to go into general surgery eventually and work in a rural area where I can serve areas where they're really underserved with physicians and healthcare.
And finally, what has it been like just being back here with everyone?
I'm just comfortable being home.
Well, we look forward to seeing what you do next year on the field. We're joined now by Indiana State defensive backs coach Anthony Perkins. Let's talk a little bit about Chris Overton, who just transferred from Kent State. What stood out to you about him?
Chris Overton came from a great program. Before he got to Kent State, he came from a great program at Glenville High School up in the Cleveland area. And the thing that stood out right away as soon as we turned on the film, the thing that jumped out about him was his overall athleticism. He's very dynamic with the ball in his hands, really did a great job. And then, the more we learned about him, the more fired up we were about him. He comes from a great family, strong parents. His dad is actually the offensive coordinator at Brush High School, which is another high school up there in Cleveland. But just a great family, high-character kid, and also a kid who took care of his academics and has been really strong in that regard as well.
Real quick, I want to go back to, you said he's a coach's kid. How does that help, a football player in regards to just coaching him up or even his work ability?
Well, you know that he's going to have a strong football background. You know that he's going to do things the right way. You know that the discipline aspect and all of the intangibles that go along with being a football player. You know that those have been instilled into him from early on.
Now talk a little bit about his academic situation. A really smart kid, a lot of transferring from Kent State. I know a lot of credits from high school transferred over. Talk about him academically.
Oh, he's in great shape academically, and that was obviously huge for us and something that we were very excited about. But like you said, he took care of business early and knocked out a lot of classes early on before he even graduated from high school. And then since he's been at Kent State, he's been taking care of business in the classroom. And he's actually in a situation where he has an opportunity to graduate early and also get started on his master's. As long as he takes care of business, he should be able to complete it.
And just how important is it to have kids who are so academically driven on a team?
Well, one of the things that we really believe here at Indiana State is it all ties together. We want kids that are not only winners on the field, but guys that are also winners in the classroom and winners off the field as well. And Chris is the total package. We know that he's going to come in, take care of business, and we feel like that's a great reflection about what he's going to do on the field as well.
What do you foresee his role being on this team?
Obviously, on the field, he's going to be a dynamic playmaker. We expect him to compete and play early. But we also expect him to be able to do some things and help us out in the return game, help us out on special teams as well. Off the field, we believe that he's going to be able to come in and be a huge asset as far as just being a leader in our receivers corps. Which is an area where we lost a lot of senior leadership last year. We feel that he's going to be able to step in and really early on step into that leadership role.
Well, we look forward to seeing what he does next year. I'm here with the redshirt sophomore Chris Overton, transferred here from Kent State. Let's talk a little bit about why you chose Indiana State.
I chose Indiana State. I thought it was the best opportunity for me and the best place. I saw them actually play on TV. I saw them play in Indiana because some of my teammates from high school play there. And I just thought it would be a good place for me with the offense they run.
Now, why do you see yourself in this offense?
They run a spread offense, and I play slot receiver. I feel like they spread the ball around a lot, and they have some pretty good quarterbacks that can get receivers the ball.
Well, good. Now, how are the coaches in your recruiting process?
Coaches, they were real good in recruiting. They actually talked to me a lot on the visit. That was my first time getting to talk to a lot of them. And they just did a real good job recruiting.
Now, I know you've only been on campus for about 3 weeks, but how has the team been so far?
They seem like they're real close together, a real tight-knit family. They've been real welcoming to me, too, being a new player on the team. I've been getting cool with a lot of them.
That's good. Now, how have off-season workouts been? Lifting, running, workouts?
They've been good so far. I feel like I'm getting back into the ropes, getting back in shape. Coach McManus does a good job. He does a great job with the guys. So we're going to start running tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes.
Do you like running?
Yeah, I'm good with running. It's the weights to get to me.
Yeah, well, I feel you on that one. Now, where do you see yourself in part of helping this team out?
I feel like I just really want to get in where I fit in, but with them being able to spread the ball around, I feel like I can really help with whatever, with me being an athlete. I played quarterback and running back also in high school, and I know I can help in the kick return game. I noticed that this team didn't have any kick returns or punt returns for touchdowns this year, and I feel like I can really help in that aspect.
Now, how has Terre Haute been treating you so far?
It's been nice. It's a lot better than I thought it was going to be because I never really heard of it, but I thought it was going to be in the middle of nowhere. But it's a lot of stuff down here. I really like the area.
Now, you're from Cleveland.
Yeah.
So let's talk. Are you a LeBron fan? Who's your, you a Browns fan?
I'm actually a Kobe Bryant fan. I've always been a Kobe Bryant fan since I was little, but I am a Browns fan. So I'm liking that they're getting a lot better.
Well, excellent. And you're actually very smart kid, 4.1 GPA in high school. What's your plan on majoring on here?
Sports administration.
What do you want to do with that, maybe?
I'd like to be a sports agent after I receive I'll hopefully receive my master's degree before I leave Indiana State.
What are you most excited about for this upcoming season?
I'm just ready to play football, honestly. That's what I'm really excited about, getting out on that field with my team, with these coaches, and just having a great time, hopefully winning a national championship or conference championship.
Well, we look forward to seeing Chris Overton on the field next year. Joined now by Vince Natali, the offensive lineman coach for the Indiana State Sycamores. You guys signed a guy in Rashid Abdul-Haq. Let's talk a little bit about his recruiting process.
Sure. Rashid is from Arsenal Tech, right out of the East Indianapolis area, big-time powerhouse in recruiting the last couple of years. Very impressed with Rashid and what he's been able to do in his high school career. We had success with the Indianapolis area. Last year we had James Officer join us from Cathedral High School, and I'm looking forward to seeing him and Rashid grow together here in the future.
Now, how important is it to just recruit the Indiana area and particularly the Indianapolis area?
I think it's very important. We have to have a strong presence in Indiana. There's talented football players here that we have to show that we care about them and we care about recruiting this area, and we've had success with a lot of kids from that area.
What jumped out to you about Rashid that made you guys want to pursue him?
Well, not only is he big and physical, but he moves well for a big man. 6'5", 335 pounds. The great thing you'll see about Rashid on his film is that he's constantly giving great effort, taking his guy to the ground, making sure that his guy doesn't get away from him, which is good. Which are good things you want to see as an offensive line coach. Those things you preach over and over again, but to see him do that in high school is a great thing.
What kind of impact do you foresee him having on this team?
I see him starting out as an inside guy, being a guard, to learn the basic fundamentals of playing offensive line at this level, but eventually growing into a tackle.
And I hear he's pretty excited to become an Indiana State Sycamore.
He is. He's been he committed very early in the process, I believe after the win against Ball State, if you haven't heard that a lot. But he stayed committed to us even though other schools have tried to pry him away from us. But he's full of Sycamore pride. He bleeds blue. Even when he was here on his recruiting visit, recruits just seem to gravitate towards him, which is a good thing for us to see, especially in recruiting. You wonder whether a kid really wants to play football first and foremost. In Rashid's case, you know that he wants to play football and you know that he wants to be an Indiana State Sycamore.
Now, does he have a nickname at all?
In his circles, he's known as Big Sheet. Amongst the coaching staff, we just call him Rashid.
All right, well, we look forward to seeing what Big Sheet does for y'all next year. All right, back here with wide receiver coach Joe Beaver for the Indiana State Sycamores. Let's talk a little bit about Dante Jones now.
Yeah, Dante's out of Lakota West High School in Cincinnati, Ohio. He's a guy that is he's a big get for us in this class. He's a bigger body guy, long and rangy, and just we're real excited about him, what he's going to bring to this recruiting class.
Now, he was your very first wide receiving commitment to this class, right?
That is correct, yes. And it's a big thing. One thing that helped him out, very early on, you could tell he wanted to be here. He was a guy that not just went to a lot of other camps around, but he actually came to our camp here on campus, gave us a chance to really get to look at him in person, see the things that he can do, get a chance to work with them, ask them to do specific things that we do in our offense that they may not do in their offense. And that's where we really got a chance to see how he's going to fit and how we can use him. That was a real big part of it for us.
Now, he's also a really smart kid, plans on majoring in engineering, which is over my head, over a lot of people's heads. So, how important is it to have not only an athlete but a student athlete?
That's huge. That's huge, especially at a position like wide receiver where you've got 8, 9, 10 guys on the team like that, and you're asking receivers to move around, do a bunch of different things. One thing you don't think about is them having to read coverages, linebackers, and so a guy that can turn around and see those things and pick up on those things just enhances his game that much more.
Now, what's so unique about Dante's style that's going to make a huge impact on this wide receiving core?
Yeah, well, one of the things that you kind of look at a wide receiving core and you kind of want a basketball team a little bit. You don't want, not everybody is going to be a center. Not everybody's going to be the point guard. He's kind of a guy that's kind of that power forward type guy.
You know, he's physical. He's going to bring a physicality with him that's just natural, and it's something he takes a lot of pride in. He's long and rangy, as I kind of already mentioned. Great body control, which really is going to help us get down the middle and create some mismatches with linebackers and make some tough catches.
And where does he kind of fit in this 2015 Sycamore core?
Yeah, he's a guy that's going to come in and compete at the inside receiver spot. You know, again, that's a place where we like to stretch the field down the middle, and his skill set really fits into that. We've got some upperclassmen in those spots, and so having a guy to come in and compete against them, and it's a fun group. And so they've already developed a little bit of a relationship with the two guys that are coming back at that position, and so that'll be a fun competition for them.
And it sounds like he's gotten some postseason recognition. You said earlier, was it an All-American game?
Yeah, he was invited to an All-American game in Dallas, where he went and quite frankly balled out down there. And so you know, that's always good to have a guy go down and represent well.
Well, we look forward to seeing him ball out here next year. Joined now by Coach Jamie DeBerry, the special teams coordinator and safeties coach for the Indiana State Sycamores. Let's talk a little bit about now John Horner.
Yeah, excited to get John in the boat. You know, he is from Gateway High School, 6'3", 185-pound safety that's very athletic. You know, he plays well in space, a lot of awareness, great instincts, great ball skills, and he's just a very athletic guy that plays offensive too during high school. He had 4 high school touchdowns as a wide receiver this past season. He's a basketball player, he's a baseball player, so just very athletic and someone we're very excited about.
Now, how important is it to have somebody with such great athleticism as a safety?
Yeah, you know, we talked about playing in space, and the safeties, they play in space. They got to be able to get down in the box and make tackles. But when we ask them to man up or whatever we're doing in our coverage, they have to be very dynamic and very versatile, and all that comes with being athletic. And, you know, his ability to play other spots, you know, wide receivers, like I mentioned, and then playing multiple sports is going to be something that we're excited about, and I'm glad we have him on board.
Now, where does John kind of fit in with your other safeties you have right now?
Yeah, you know, that room is very exciting. And that room that we have, those guys get after it, and he's going to fit right in. You know, that room has a lot of leaders, and that's something that he is very into. He wants to be a leader. Obviously, he knows he's got to come in and do his work and, you know, get his nose into the playbook and understand what's going on. But he wants to be a leader. You know, when he was on his visit, we talked to him about coming back during spring ball. He thought he could practice. And so I think that just goes to show that he's eager and he's ready to get here and ready to work. And, you know, he's long, and that's something that we have addressed in the last 2 recruiting classes to get some more length in that room. And he's just very dynamic.
What kind of impact do you foresee him having over his career here?
Yeah, you know, I think first off, you know, I'm a little greedy. I'm going to get him on special teams. Is something that I expect him to do as soon as he gets here, is to play on special teams. I think he needs to come in and compete right away. He's got a chance. There's a lot of guys in that room that's got a lot of plays under their belt already, but I think he's going to be able to come in and push them. And over time, I expect him to be a great player here in Indiana State.
Great. Well, we look forward to seeing what he can do for you guys next year. Joined again by Coach Jaden Everett, the running backs coach for the Indiana State Sycamores. You guys signed a big guy within Marlon Fleming. Tell us a little bit about him.
Well, you're right about big guy. Marlon is all of about 6'1.5", 210. He's got a big time, you know, frame, especially for a running back. He can run, as you can see in some of his clips, and I think one of the best things about him is just his attitude. You know, he's a great kid.
What kind of jumped out to you on tape when you were recruiting him?
Well, first and foremost, like we just said, how big he is, and then how he just separates himself from defenders in the third level. I mean, he's physical, and someone that big. I mean, just being a running back that can just run. You know, I think that all of us coaches, we had kind of a model of a back that we seen that we wanted. We wanted a big, you know, 6'1.5", 6'2" back. So for us to go down to Florida and find a kid as good as Marlon, really, it's a steal. You know, it was awesome.
Now tell me where you kind of see him fitting into this team.
You know, I see him fitting in as, you know, kind of in the middle of the pack right now. He's a guy that also can come into camp and do some really good things. You know, if he's ready to play when the ball gets snapped, he's going to play. You know, I'm not going to say I'm going to redshirt anybody, but I think that he has the size, he has the speed, determination. I mean, he's got what you want, and so he could be a guy that comes in and shocks Indiana State.
Now, where do you kind of see him in your running back group?
As far as character-wise, I see him being a jokester. I mean, Marlon is one of those types of guys that he's always taking selfies. That's one of the things with him. You know, he always has his shirt off. He's one of those types of guys. Yeah. All the abs and all that. So.
All right. Well, it sounds like he's going to be a ham. That'll be fun to be around. Bring to the team for sure. Now, talk about, Florida is such a great state for football-wise. How important is it to land a recruit from Florida?
I think it's very, very important. You know, obviously with the landing of Marlon and Taylor Porter, and I actually have some family ties in Florida. So, it's really very, very important. You know, a lot of schools go down to the recruit. So for us to be able to branch down there and spark the interest of those guys to get them excited about Sycamore football, it's just awesome. You know, I think that we got 4 or 5 guys from Florida this year, and so we hope to continue the pipeline.
Well, I'm sure you look forward to taking some selfies with Marlon, and we look forward to seeing what he's going to do next year on the field. We're joined now by Coach Joe Beaver, the wide receiver coach for the Indiana State Sycamores. You guys signed a really good player in Tariq Brown out of Florida. How do you get guys out of Florida to come up to Terre Haute?
That's a good question. You know, we actually hadn't recruited Florida until this year. It was kind of a situation where, we had to look at signing about 5 wide receivers this year to replace that senior class that we had, and one of the big emphasis was speed. And so obviously, Florida's known for its speed. It's known for it to have a lot of guys down there. We went down there specifically to look at specific position groups, and one of those was wide receiver. And really just through turning over rocks and looking for, using coaches' contacts and all those different things, we came across Tariq at Immokalee, and it was a good fit.
Now, besides his speed, what else does he bring to the table in regards to his position?
Well, definitely as far as the overall team and the unit, he's a really good special teams player in the return game. Brings a dynamic to that that we haven't had consistently. We've got some guys that are doing that. He's going to add to that. We lost 2 guys in the senior class in that area. So the return game, he's going to really bring a lot to the table.
What impact do you foresee him making on this team?
Well, he's a guy that definitely, with the speed that he brings, the type of plays he makes down the field, he's a guy that we hope he comes in and competes early. Every guy that we brought in this class, that was kind of the idea with the amount of guys we have returning. We got 5 guys returning, and so every single one of these guys we've told, hey, you got to come in and compete, and he's one of those guys that with his natural ability is going to have that opportunity.
Now, with his speed, is he a guy that can replace who you lost last year in A.J. Johnson and Travis Reyes?
We hope that he is, no question. Those are two guys that are going to be hard to replace speed-wise. A 4.3 guy and a 4.4 guy that are legit times. He's a guy that's going to have that ability. And hopefully the maturity level that he brings and that this group will bring will help him to do that and propel the group that way.
All right, well, we look forward to seeing how speedy he can be next year for you guys. Joined now by Coach Jamie DeBerry, the special teams coordinator and safeties coach for Indiana State. Now, you guys just signed a local kid in Adrian Butler. Let's talk a little bit about his recruiting process.
Yeah, phenomenal kid, from Indiana down in Evansville, which is about 2 hours down the road. A kid that addresses some needs that we had with length, trying to get some quickness, speed on the defensive line. And at 6'4", 235 pounds, I think for a high school kid that's 18 years old, I think we did what we needed to do.
Now, how important is it to get those kids that are in the state of Indiana?
I think it's important. I think we from day one when Coach got here, we talked about we got to take care of the state. We got to make sure that we find any kid that's capable of coming into our program, making us better, making themselves successful, ultimately getting them a degree. And I think we did that, and he's a great football player as well. He comes from a great high school, and they played in the state championship this year. He's also a wrestler, and he just won the sectional this past weekend, and he'll wrestle this weekend for the region.
Wow, that's impressive. Now, what do you foresee him doing in the upcoming years in his career?
Yeah, I think what he gives us is speed. He's long off the edge, to be able to attack offensive tackles. I think he's got to be able to play the run on early downs, but when we get into third down, he's got to be able to go get the quarterback. And his speed, his quickness, his power are all the things that's going to help him be successful on Saturdays.
Now, how important is it to just bring in guys that are proven winners already in the high school level?
Yeah, I think those kids that are proven winners in high school, first off, they get a taste of winning, and that's important. The main goal, besides getting an education, is winning. And those kids bring that mentality into our program. Playing for a state championship is always important. Like we mentioned, he's a wrestler, he's a champion there. And I think that helps breed other things into our program and to the other kids as well.
Great. Well, we look forward to seeing what he does next year for you guys. I'm joined now by Matthew Murphy, assistant coach. You work with the tight ends and tackles. Let's talk a little bit about Mason Fleckler. Give us a little information on his background.
Mason is an offensive lineman out of Bardstown, Kentucky, which is about 20 miles outside of Louisville. We see him as an offensive tackle. He stands at 6'6", and he's about 315 pounds, so he's definitely got some size to him.
Talk a little bit about his vitals.
His vitals, he's, like we said, he's a big kid, 6'6", 315. He's got length, long arms. That's why we see him. He's able to play tackle. He's able to get some extension in the pass game and when he's doing some pass protection so those guys can't grab onto him, run around him. And anytime you have size as an offensive lineman, it really slows the game down for you because, it takes it takes longer to run around you.
Yes, it would. Now, talk a little bit about, besides his size, what else did you guys stick out to you on film?
Yeah, well, obviously the first thing you see, you click on his highlight, you see 6'6", 315, and it's very intriguing, especially as an offensive lineman, because that's really what you look for first is size. Can this guy, does he have the size to play at this level? But after you start watching the film, you really start seeing his physicality. He's a very physical guy, and he bends well. He plays with great pad level. He really gets under guys, moves them out of the way, and he knocks them down. He's definitely not shy to contact, and there's no question he likes to hit. And as a former offensive lineman, it's something you love to see.
Now, you have a background, obviously, professionally. Where do you think he kind of fits into the mix coming in next year?
Well, he's definitely a great athlete. I think he comes in, he adds depth right away as offensive lineman. It's not a question of if you get hit or if you get hurt, it's when. So it's in the trenches, you're banging constantly, and he's going to provide that depth that is crucial for the end of the season. And he's going to compete right away for playing time. He has that capability with his athletic ability.
Off the field, what kind of impact do you foresee him making?
Well, off the field, I think one of the things that was different about him in his recruiting process is he was an early commit. He committed to us early December, and he showed a lot of commitment and excitement about the Sycamores. He's paid his way and voluntarily came to a couple of games, 3 or 4, and even to the playoffs. And even he's come to practices. So he's definitely excited to be Sycamore, and that's what you like to see as a coach. And we're really excited to have him, and we can't wait to see him here come August.
Well, it sounds like he'll be a great addition to the Sycamore family. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
I'm here with Coach Mills, the defensive line coach for the Indiana State Sycamores. Let's first talk about Cedric Quince. Talk about his background a little bit.
We're really excited about Cedric Quince. He's a dynamic player, and he's just scratching the surface because he's only played 1 year of football. And he comes to us out of Dwyer High School down in South Florida, and it's a storied program. Played for Coach Jack Daniels down there, and Coach Daniels just talked about just the thing he loved about Cedric is his toughness, and he's just a raw athlete that has just scratched the surface of where he's going to go, and that's what's exciting for us is that he is a big, tall athlete that's just going to get better and better the longer he plays the game.
Only 1 year of football?
1 year of football. He's converted from basketball. His cousin came out for football in the spring, talked him in, hey, he should come out and take a look at it. Got a chance to be recruited for football, and they both did. And so he is, he's a dynamic guy, and you see his athleticism on the basketball court, and, he's just scratching the surface, like I said, of where he's going to go. And I think the sky's the limit for him as a defensive lineman, and he's excited to be a Sycamore.
Now, I hear he was a great basketball player. Did you ever have a chance to see him play?
I had a chance to see him play this winter during recruiting, and I found out about his background in basketball. He's been playing for a long time, and he's actually been part of a traveling team, and he played on Dwayne Wade's traveling team down in Miami. And so that's why he wears number 3. And so that's, I think, one of his idols in basketball. But he can really sky. He can really go up. And the thing I loved watching him play is he's physical. And so as the football coach saw this fall, Coach Daniels, and what he shared with me is that, hey, he really thinks that you've got a guy that's really going to become a great player football-wise because he's not only athletic, he has the ball skills you see in basketball, so he knows how to move his body around, knows how to adjust. But he's a tough guy, and he's comes from a great family, and he's excited about getting his education here.
How tall is he?
He's 6'7". Yeah, so, 6'7", probably in basketball shoes. He's a legitimate 6'6" guy, probably in pro testing if you measure him barefoot. But he's got a wingspan, a long wingspan that can do a lot. I think we're going to see him really cause problems for quarterbacks.
How is that, his height and just his wingspan, all that, going to help him on the defensive end?
Well, the thing you look at is a defensive lineman. If you've got long levers, you can really do a good job of getting past offensive linemen, separating from offensive linemen, and getting in the windows of really knocking down passes for quarterbacks. And, of course, the thing we talk about, the best play in football is sack, cause, fumble, scoop, and score. So he's got a chance with those long arms of really, I think, again, wreaking havoc on quarterbacks in the future, and that's what excites us.
What more could you want from a defensive line guy? Joined again by Coach Aaron Archie, the inside linebacker coach for the Indiana State Sycamores. Let's talk a little bit about Ramon Clifford.
Ramon Clifford is from Western PA, Clarendon High School, Pennsylvania, of course. He is very quick and explosive on film. That really took us as a defensive staff, and we saw him like, we got to have that kid.
Talk a little bit about his vitals.
Ramon's about 6'2", about 185. Like I said, his quickness on film just intrigued us, especially as an offensive player. He scored a lot of touchdowns for his team this past year, and we'll love him at the inside linebacker's position.
Where do you see him making an impact coming up to next season?
We're expecting him to make an immediate impact. I believe every guy in this class is important for us to get to the next level.
What kind of jumped off to you on film when you watched his tape and his recruiting process?
I believe there's a play where he gets like a sweep handoff, and he avoids like 3 or 4 guys, and it's just like, wow.
It's pretty impressive there. And do you have any fun facts about him?
Ramon, his name is not French.
Which I thought it was French to begin with, so that's a fun fact.
So, yes.
Well, we look forward to seeing what impact he makes next year for you guys. Switching gears to Trey Blandford, tell us a little bit about him and what he brings to the defensive line.
Trey brings a physical presence. He's really a guy that's played a defensive end, but as he grows, we've recruited him. He's a future guy inside that I believe will be a heart and soul player. What I mean by that is any great defense starts from the inside, and so he's got a chance, I think, to be a very, very physical nose tackle for us. He's strong. He lives in the weight room, and he just has that toughness that you look for in a defensive lineman.
What impressed you when you guys were reviewing his tape and recruiting him?
The thing that stood out the most in watching his tape is that he has got a great motor. When we talk about a motor, it's a nonstop guy, a guy that just goes flat out every play, plays as hard as he can possibly play, and that's what we pride ourselves on around here on defense. Is we want to have great swarm to the ball, and that's what he has. He has an intensity about him, tenacity about him. He brings that effort in every snap you see on tape, and I think that's what we always talk about on defense. Good things happen when you run to the football, and that's been the case for Trey this past year. He had an outstanding year, very productive, many sacks, he had a lot of tackles for losses, and that's because he played hard. And so that fires me up, because he's a guy who plays with a great, great motor.
Excellent. Now, he's from Harrison City, Pennsylvania. You guys have a rich heritage of former Sycamores from Western PA. What's that been like?
Well, we went in this past year. This is my first year here on the staff, and I found out the history that we used to recruit Western PA. And over the years, we've had a lot of great players, and we've got great alums that live over in Western PA. But there's been some great players from Pittsburgh and surrounding areas that have been in this program. So we're back in there recruiting. I think it's as evidenced by this recruiting list. And Trey is a guy who comes from a great program at Penn Trafford High School. Coach John Rowan is his head coach, and I just think that he's going to be one of the guys that's going to be a key as we move forward. He can be like a Pied Piper, a guy that sets the tone. Hey, other guys will follow him, and I think because he's that type of a leader. But you look at the history we've had, great players from the Pittsburgh area. They know how to play football. They've raised up in a culture that loves football in the state of Pennsylvania. And as I have come to find out, is that there were some tremendous players that played here, Hall of Fame players that have played here. And so I'm excited about the future of recruiting the Pittsburgh area.
And Pennsylvania has recently, or not really recently, but just been a hotbed for high school football talent for a lot of teams.
Yes, it is. You can look at the history of storied players in the NFL that come from Western PA. They talk about playing in the WPIAL, which is just a tradition of just great football, great coaching, and so it's exciting. And you look at the guys that come from that area, all they got to do is get on I-70 and go west. And, it's far enough that they're away from home, but close enough to get home. And also at the same time, it's also the opportunity for their families to come see them play in the Missouri Valley Conference, because all of our games are, for the most part, close enough for them to get there. So it's just been really well received this first year being back in there recruiting, and we're excited about the future being back in there.
Well, not only have you recruited in that area of the country, you guys have really focused on the area here in Terre Haute. What's been the focal point for recruiting this year?
Well, I think it's the focal point always. You look for outstanding young men with great character. You look for people, that players that have a desire to get a college education. And I think the student athletes that have, the prospective student athletes that have visited here, they see what we have to offer here. First and foremost, as an academic institution, it's very impressive on the faculty, all the people that they come in contact with during their official visits. They've just seen that we really have a lot to offer, and they have a chance to come here and get a great education and play Division I football. And I think they see also where we're headed with this program, with the great season we had this past year with the wins, and with the returners coming back, that the future is very bright.
Well, we look forward to seeing Trey on the field next year. Thank you very much, Coach. We're joined now by Indiana State defensive backs coach Anthony Perkins to talk a little bit about safety Kevin Scott. What kind of player are you guys getting in Kevin Scott?
Kevin Scott's a great player. He's a long, athletic, physical safety. He's coming to us from Cass Tech High School in Detroit, Michigan, a great program, constantly putting out great players. But really the thing that stands out about Kevin, obviously, besides his athleticism, was just kind of his overall savviness, playing on the field. He's very polished. You can tell that he's been coached well, and we're very excited with how far he's come along just as a player and the product that we're getting to start out.
Now, you said he comes from a successful high school program. How important is it to bring in these kids that come from successful backgrounds?
Well, I think it's very important. Any time that you can get a chance to recruit a kid that comes from a successful background, guys like Kevin Scott, Chris Overton, who came from Glenville High School in Cleveland, and a lot of other guys in our class. Anytime you get a chance to recruit those kids and bring them in, it's great because they've already tasted. They know how to win. They know the sacrifice that it takes, and really the starting point that we get these kids is a lot higher. And so those are all things that we're very excited about.
What kind of impact do you foresee Kevin making starting out?
We're hoping that he comes in and is ready to compete right away. From everything that we've seen on film and talking to everybody around him and talking to him, he's hungry, he's ready. He does a lot of good things on film, and we're excited for him to be able to come in and compete right away.
Now, I hear that there might be somebody else within the Indiana State program that's tied to Cass Tech.
Well, last year we were able to recruit Trayvon Claiborne, who was Kevin's teammate at Cass Tech. He'll be a sophomore for us this year, playing at corner. We're very excited about him as well. And then Coach Archie, our linebackers coach, is a Cass Tech alumnus. He was a great player for them, and obviously with him being on our staff, we've got great ties to the program, and we're very excited about that.
Well, we look forward to seeing what this Cass Tech alumni and what Kevin Scott does for you guys next year.
Thank you.
We're back with Coach Everett, the running backs coach for the Indiana State Sycamores. Finally, let's talk about Taylor Porter.
Taylor Porter, very, very explosive back. You'll see on film, not very big, but he's probably got one of the quickest first steps I've seen. I mean, he's a very, very dynamic player. Comes to us from Immokalee, Florida. Actually, Edgerrin James's high school. Yeah, he does a lot of good stuff. He was a Class 5A, first team all-conference back in Collier County down there. And if you know anything about Florida, you know there's a lot of speed down there. They can run.
Absolutely. Now, talk a little bit about what else he brings to this running backs group besides his speed.
You know what? He's just he's a very calm young man. You can tell that, you know, Taylor really is one of those guys that appreciates what he has. He's one of those guys that shows up first and is the last to leave. I see him growing into somewhat of a leader. You know, his fourth year being here, or maybe, you know, sooner than that. But he's going to add that group that you need. You know, not too much of a clown, but just one of those business type guys all the time.
What do you envision his impact being this first year?
You know, we'll see. I don't know. You know, it could be one of those situations where we get in and he just completely woes us. I mean, as you can see on his film, he's doing things that, you know, certain backs can't do. So, you know, it's going to be a big-time competition once fall camp comes, and I can't wait to see what he's going to do.
Now tell us of maybe one last fun fact about Taylor for us.
Okay, so at a young age, he was a chunky guy. So his family nicknamed him Butterbean. So he's my little Butterbean. He'll be here making plays, and you'll probably hear him yelling, and then you'll hear me yelling Butterbean. So that's about it.
I hope that nickname sticks for his teammates, too.
I hope it sticks, too. So next time when you look at this deal, it should be Butterbean Porter. It should not be Taylor Porter.
All right, well, I look forward to seeing what Butterbean can do next year for y'all. I'm joined now by wide receiver coach Joe Beaver for the Indiana State Sycamores. Let's start out talking about Gennaro Penn.
Yeah, Gennaro's a local product. He's out of Indianapolis, Lawrence Central High School. Very dynamic player, lots of speed to him. He's a sub-22, 200-meter guy. That's a big thing for us is speed and replacing some of the guys that graduated this last year.
Now, how important was it to land this recruit?
With him being not just an in-state guy, but also an Indianapolis guy, it's extremely important to us to be able to keep our guys in-state. It brings so much to the program, both you know, local followings and also just, you know, proud alum liking to keep guys in-state.
What does he bring to this recruiting class?
Wow, there's a lot of different things. One, just in this recruiting class alone, maturity level. You know, he comes from an Army family. The discipline that has already been instilled in him, drive to go win. But one of the big things in this class, especially this group of receivers, is maturity level. And that's going to be huge just for this recruiting class and our program going forward.
What type of impact do you foresee him making next year?
Well, you know, he's got a very high ceiling. That's something that we really looked for a lot in this recruiting class. We want guys that you know we can develop and turn into you know, hopefully, you know, the next level guys. He's a guy that has that type of ability, and his drive and maturity and the things we've already kind of talked about should help him get to reach his full potential.
What kind of impact do you see him making off the field?
Wow. Well, he's a guy that, again, kind of has all the intangibles off the field. You know, he'll buy into not just the football program, but also the university and things that, you know, that we'll do. He'll be a part of the university as a whole.
Can you share with us maybe a fun fact about him?
Oh, man. Well, you know, like I said, he's from Oklahoma, through New Orleans, but his dad born and raised in the Army, so he's moved around quite a bit. I think that brings a different level of comfort when you're going to a new place. He's used to doing that. So.
Well, cool. We look forward to seeing the impact he makes next year on the field for you guys. Joined now by Vince Natale, the offensive lineman coach for the Indiana State Sycamores. You guys signed a really good player in Nakia Greer. Let's talk a little bit about his recruiting process.
Well, Nakia is joining us from Georgia, just south in a town called Hamilton, Harris County High School. You know, it's a great thing about us and our offensive line in the state we're at right now. We have a lot of experience coming back. Still a young team, but a lot of experience coming back. So we were able to be very selective with the guys that we brought in, and that meant expanding our reach. And you know, Coach Everett, our running backs coach, went down to Georgia, brought Nakia's film to my attention, and just looking for those higher caliber players, and we think Nakia is one of those.
Now, talk a little bit about what jumped out to you guys on film. What makes him a higher caliber player?
Well, as a tackle, and again, for his size, about 6'3", 310, and true size at that. Not only does he come off the line of scrimmage very well and is very aggressive, but you can see even in high school they used him to reach and to pull, even from a tackle position. So I see him doing that for us as well when he gets here.
What kind of impact do you foresee him having on this team?
Again, he projects as a guard coming in right away, and that's where he probably can help us. And you can see that he can do those kinds of things on his high school film. But Nakia is one of those kids. He's got a no-nonsense attitude, loves football. As we've done with a lot of our younger offensive linemen, we've been able to plug him in anywhere. And I see that Nakia is one of those kids that's disciplined, will learn his assignments, and we can plug him in where we need him. Young in his career, going on, seeing him as a tackle.
Now, do you have any fun stories about him for us?
Oh, he's pretty straightforward. He's not a big time partier. He's not anything like that. Just hearing that from everyone that he's involved with, even the guys when he was here on his visit, he was just very straightforward, and I respect that and I appreciate those guys. He's got his priorities straight, and I look forward to working with him.
Well, we look forward to seeing what he does for you guys next year as an Indiana State Sycamore. We're joined now by Brian Shepard, the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach for the Indiana State Sycamores. Let's start out talking about Brock Rudder. What was his recruiting process like?
Yeah, so Brock came to our camp. He's one of the guys that became interested in Indiana State early, and he's a guy that came to our camp, and so we got to work with him in the classroom. We were on the board, kind of talking with him what his offense was like, football IQ, stuff like that. Really, really sharp. And so because he did come to camp, and we got to see him on the board in the meeting rooms, then we got to see him on the field. We got to get after him a little bit, see that he's a very coachable guy. And through that whole process, he comes from a really, really good school. Neuqua Valley up in the Chicago area. He's a guy that is a big-time leader, and that's kind of what we look for. So the whole recruitment process with him, from evaluating him as a quarterback on film, and he made the key decision really to get to camp, because that's where we get to get our hands on him. The head coach, the offensive line coach, everybody kind of gets to get after the quarterback a little bit. You like to see kind of how he is, kind of how he responds to criticism and how coachable he is. So he got there, got to camp. Recruiting process was great, and then he made the effort to come to a few games as far as on his own with his parents, which they have a big time. They got a lot going on, their scheduling, so they made it a priority to get down here, and really it was just a great fit. So overall, with the family, with Brock, with how he translates, the fit couldn't be better, really.
Well, good. Now talk a little bit about how important it is to get a quarterback who has those leadership qualities.
Yeah, so one of the big things, everybody looks for the height, weight, everybody looks for the arm strength and all these things that are measurables, that are vitals. The big thing that's underrated, in my opinion, is leadership and what kind of work ethic the kid has. Because you never know, there's guys that can throw it 75 yards that are sitting on a couch somewhere not playing. So one of the big things, being a coach's son, and my dad being a coach for a long time, it's a deal where he kind of instilled in me the fact that guys got to be able to play for him. He has to be able to raise the level of play of everybody on the team right when he steps on the field. And we feel like that's what Brock does. He does a great job with his teammates. His coaches rave about him. The other teams rave about him. They just say he's unbelievable as a leader. So one thing we're looking for is a guy that when he steps on the field, he knows his job, and it's not enough to do things right. He's got to bring everybody else with him. So we felt like that's a guy that we feel could take us to the next level, down the road in the future. And so his leadership's something that really jumped out at us, early on, and that's something that we look for.
Now, where do you see him kind of fitting into this offensive scheme you guys have?
Yeah, so really right now, to me, we had a second-team all-conference quarterback in Mike Parrish, and I feel like Brock is kind of a young Mike Parrish type guy. He is a lot like him as far as his football IQ. He's a very smart guy, knows the offense inside and out. He's going to make guys right, and he's gonna roll with the punches. He's a guy that's going to, he's a leader, so he's going to lift people up. He also, just offensive scheme-wise, he makes all the intermediate throws. He makes the throws downfield. He could throw the ball with a lot of velocity. He could throw the ball with touch. He follows the golden rule of quarterback, which is only throw the ball as hard as you need to. So, but mainly he's accurate and he's high football IQ. People don't realize that a lot of times decisions separate quarterbacks, and that's one thing that separated Brock is he did he does an amazing job with football IQ, with making decisions, with getting the ball to the right spot at the right time, being accurate downfield, you know. And he also does a good job checking the ball down. I've seen him plenty of times in his game film where you don't see a lot of high school quarterbacks that just check the ball down a bunch. So he does that, and I think he fits in great with all the intermediate throws, with the play action stuff we do, the quick game. But we put a lot on the quarterback. So football IQ and mental capacity have to be there, and he's spot on for us.
Seems to have a lot of the intangibles that you would need to be in that position.
No question. And that's the other thing. I mean, his character off the field is outstanding. And that's something that's so important to us and Coach Sanford. That's one of his, he's big on the core values, on the high character, iron sharpens iron type, proverbs. So when we got him in and we saw all of his intangibles, he's a good student. He cares about things. He opens the door for his mom. He places on time. He calls back. He follows through. That's one of the big deals. So many people don't follow through, and then when they don't, they make excuses. And it's excuses are results, not both. So we feel like he's a guy that has all the leadership ability, the intangibles. He's on time. He cares about things, and those are things. They always say you could throw the ball to a knucklehead or hand it to a knucklehead, but you can't snap it to a knucklehead. So he's a guy that, for us, intangibles are awesome. He does a great job with that. So.
Well, we look forward to seeing that. Now, he clearly felt a really strong draw to Indiana State. He committed early, correct?
He did, yeah. He committed when he came to camp. Really, the big thing was Coach Natali, our O-line coach, recruits Chicago, his area. He did a great job with the recruitment process. He went out there and really evaluated him on the field, off the field, got him to us. We were very interested in him. We did, we do our due diligence, did all of our research on Brock, and then we're able to go to the school. I was able to go to the school along with some of our other coaches, home visits, all that kind of stuff. And then but before that, he came to camp, and that's like we touched on earlier. By coming to camp and him seeing how we function, how we going through drills with me, going through things with our head coach, and just the whole feel. I mean, that's one of the biggest things we have here. I've moved a lot of times. I've moved like 18 times, and it's one of the big things I've realized. It's not where you're at, it's who you're with. And he realized there were a lot of good coaches here, and then he saw the close bond with the players early on. So he ended up being a commit for us early on, I believe in July, and that just got stronger and stronger. And some guys tried to come in and swam other directions, but he stayed firm with his commitment. He did a great job, and he committed early, we committed to him. And so many times guys make commitments and then they decommit, and then they go somewhere else, and then so on and so forth. It's like, some of those guys, you just wonder, about that kind of thing. It shouldn't be commitment. It should be, the soft verbal and all that. Brock was a firm commitment from the beginning, and so were we. So.
Well, it sounds like he also comes from an athletic background. His father is the AD at Bishop McNamara.
Yeah, so his dad's the AD, and he coaches the women's basketball team, and he does a great job. And he's a coach, so Brock's a coach's son, and and his mom's awesome too. His mom travels a lot, and so with his dad being the AD, bringing him up in the right way, being a coach, we feel like that's been awesome for us, and that it shows in Brock because he does have all those intangibles, and he does have all that natural character and leadership ability, but it's been honed by his parents. So I mean, he's been brought up right, and we're glad to have him.
You have any fun stories for us about him?
Stories about Brock. So Brock went. So I asked him about what was going on in December. Touching base with him, all that kind of stuff. Went to see him, and just asked him what he was doing for Christmas, and he's like, yeah, I'm doing this, doing that, blah blah blah, and so he was about done, and I was like, oh well, that's good, you got some stuff, that's nice, and then he's like, oh, and I'm going to the Rose Bowl, and I was like, oh, you almost left that out, huh? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to the Rose Bowl, and some of my family members are kind of upset they don't get to go, but it's a deal where he went with his dad, and so yeah, so come the Rose Bowl time, he's sending me pictures and stuff like that, and he's kind of jealous he got to be in Southern California and see the Rose Bowl. So that was a fun thing for him and his dad to do. But it's funny because he's such a good dude. He's such a good guy, and he's kind of one of the guys, and that's what you got to be as a quarterback. They got to, you're not above people, you're not, harping at them, you're not this and that, but you're a guy they'd go to battle with. And so he raises the level of play, and it's just funny that hey, what'd you get for Christmas? And he goes over things and almost forgets that he's going to the Rose Bowl. So. But.
Well, hopefully he'll be taking you guys to a lot of playoffs for the MVC and whatnot. So we look forward to seeing him on the field next year. I'm joined now by Coach Aaron Archie. He's the inside linebacker coach for the Sycamores. Coach, let's talk a little bit about Jonas Griffith.
Well, Jonas Griffith is a kid from Louisville, Kentucky, from a small high school called Shawnee. Shawnee Academy, and he's an amazing kid. He is home of 12 brothers and sisters. Yes, he has a big family, a very big family. He's very humble. He's a nice kid. He was homeschooled all the way until his junior year. Yeah.
So did he just start playing football recently then?
Yes, he only played football for 2 years, and he's amazed actually of how good he is from the past 2 years and able to get a D1 scholarship and come to Indiana State.
So clearly a lot of raw talent for him. Are you guys looking forward to molding him?
Actually, we're looking for him to come in and be an impact player for us. With his length and size, he's 6'4", 220, and you can't coach that. He only gets so much, but we look for him to come and make an impact for our team to help us get to the next level.
Now, what specifically do you see him doing for your defensive and special teams?
With his length and size and as rangy he's able to make a lot of tackles for us in space. His arm span, his wingspan, his wingspan is amazing. He plays basketball. He's a power forward for his basketball team. So he's like an all-around athlete.
Now, how did he jump off film to you guys?
He jumped off film by, believe the first play that on his highlight film, he one-hand catch the ball. So you see him jumping over kids, overpowering them. Just how explosive he is on the field, and just his overall character.
Sounds like he has a pretty unique story as well.
Yes, he does. Him and his family at 5 a.m. every morning go for a walk. So all 12 brothers and sisters go for a walk at 5 a.m.
Even when it's snowing outside and it's cold?
I have to double-check that, but I believe they do.
Well, very unique. Well, we're excited to see what impact he makes next year for you guys. Moving forward, let's talk about Jake Sager. Now, he's a D-end from the state of Nebraska, where football is just in their blood down there. What is it like recruiting a kid from that area?
Well, it's exciting because they grow up from just a young age, playing football from very small age, following the teams, following the local teams, and so it is in their blood. And so it was exciting when I found out about Jake Sager and that he was a recruit, that he was a prospect, and he had an outstanding 2-year career at Sydney High School, playing for Coach Eckert out there. And he'd actually transferred in from the state of Oregon his first 2 years, and then he came into Sydney, Nebraska, which I found out is way out in western Nebraska because I drove out there. And we're excited about Jake. He's a very bright young man. He's played both at end, and he's also played inside. And I see that early in his career for us. He'll be a defensive end, but he'll also, as he grows, has a chance to play inside. But just a very talented young man, and is very passionate about the game. And that's just how it is out there in Nebraska.
Well, I'm sure you had to drive through a lot of cornfields to get there, too. But let's talk a little bit about what he brings to the ISU Rushmen.
Well, he brings I think the tenacity, I think the toughness, and most of all, I think the leadership we're looking for in a young man. I think the thing that stood out when I talked to Coach Eckert about Jake is when I asked him some of the questions about the intangibles, he said, first and foremost, he's a great leader. And not just a leader by example, but he said he's also a vocal leader. He has the experience. I think the confidence that he can speak up to his teammates and say, "Hey, this is what we need to do." As evidenced by his 2 years there at Sydney High School, they had not been to the playoffs in quite a few years, and he took them, led them to the playoffs in back-to-back years as a junior and senior. He was a first-team All-State player. When you talk about the state of Nebraska and how rich their football tradition is, to be an All-State player, that says a lot about his abilities athletically. But we're really fired up about Jake and his future.
How unique is it to see a kid that young to have those leadership skills already?
It is unique in many ways. I think when I look at guys that have that type of leadership, I look to their coaches, I look to their parents, and usually there's people in their background that they've really looked to as far as their modeling. And he's got great parents, he's got a great coach, and he had another great coach in Oregon. So he has had some examples that have really, I think, helped him as far as understanding, hey, this is what it takes. But for us, we're always looking for those championship type people, and that's exactly what Jake is.
Now, talk a little bit about his parents. I hear you have a connection to Jake. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, this was a real exciting one for me to be able to recruit Jake just because of a personal connection that goes way back a couple years. And Jake's dad, Ken, was a teammate of mine at Western Washington University. And his dad was a great player, played tight end, was an all-conference tight end, and then he played for the Seattle Seahawks. And his mother, Becky, who's a teacher there at the high school, she was also at the college, was a college student, and they were both good friends of mine at Western Washington. So when I heard the connection, found out about Jake, and then I saw his tape, and it's been a neat story as we've gone through the recruiting process. They're an outstanding family, and I know they're very excited to be Sycamores.
Well, it sounds like he'll be a great addition to the Sycamore family. We look forward to seeing him out on the field next year. Joined now by Coach Vince Natale, the Indiana State Sycamore offensive lineman coach. You guys signed another Western PA kid, and Kevin Kachowski. Talk a little bit about his recruiting process.
Sure, I got Kevin's film late, but jumped off the page of me that he was 6'10", 265, and I think he's going to be a very important recruit for our class.
Now, he also was a basketball player. How does that work for you guys in regards to play on the football field?
Well, as an offensive lineman, there are some parallels to playing offensive line and playing basketball. You've got to move your feet, keep your man in front of you. It's almost like playing defense and boxing out to not allow your man to the quarterback. Now, you've got to be a little more aggressive in run blocking, but Kevin understands that. He understands that he's 6'10", but he's very athletic. He bends very well, and he uses his size to his advantage.
Where do you kind of see him making an impact in his future?
I see him in the long run being a left tackle for us. In our conference with the defensive ends that we play, you have to have a long, athletic guy that can sustain his blocks for a long period of time. So I think Kevin understands that, sees that that's where his future's going, and we've shared that together. So.
Well, apparently he has a family story about Indiana State.
Yeah, out on his official visit, his father, volunteered this story, but I guess back in the day along the lines of recruiting Western Pennsylvania. His father was recruited by Indiana State, but never took a trip to Terre Haute. So when they did come on their official visit, it was both their first times here, and we look forward to seeing them in the future.
I was going to say they're going to be making a lot of trips to Terre Haute now, so we look forward to seeing what Kevin does for you guys next year. I'm here with Indiana State defensive coordinator and outside linebacker coach Brian Cabral. You have an incoming player, Inoki Mawala from Penn High School in Mishawaka, Indiana. They have a tradition of very good teams.
They do. Penn High School is one of the top programs in the state of Indiana. In fact, Inoki in his class have won 47 games, 5 losses. They've been state runner-up, and 3 of his losses were knocked out of the playoffs.
Now, Inoki's had several All-State honors, including he finished number 3 in the voting polls for Indiana Mr. Football.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, for an outside linebacker, tight end type to have that many votes. And he was also, he was All-State and one of the top 50 players in the state, and was also an All-State player as a underclassman.
And also impressively, Indiana Mr. Football tight end.
Yes, he was, and he's a great tight end. And but we see him as an outside linebacker, and very athletic guy. And it's very interesting. We saw him in our South Bend camp. In fact, I've got to get a shout out to ISU North up in South Bend. Who's taken great care of us anytime we've gone through there. But we just saw his athleticism, and he can play a lot of positions, and we just happen to have a tremendous need there that he fits very well.
Now, he in high school was a tight end, but you guys have recruited him as an outside linebacker. Why is that?
Well, just because of his athleticism. Like I said, he can do so many things, and very athletic, and like I said, he feels a need for us.
Now, Mawalo is a Polynesian name. Talk a little bit about that connection you may have to the.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of fun for me to recruit Polynesians, and I'm part Polynesian. I grew up in Hawaii, and anytime I get close to a Polynesian family, it's very refreshing for me. And he's actually Tongan, and you've heard of Samoan players, Hawaiian players, and there's Tongan players, and they're just a little bit farther out in the South Pacific than Hawaii. But it's been fun for me because their family values are very strong. And a lot of their family values are very strong faith values as well. And that's important to us here at ISU. And ironically, his dad was a national rugby player for the Tongan national team. Played 6 years. So, in fact, that dude looks like he can still play. So it's kind of intimidating going into his home every week. But great, wonderful family, great, wonderful kid, and just an unbelievable athlete.
What kind of impact do you see him having over his next 4 years here?
Well, I see him being an immediate impact. One of the things that we've recruited this class for was to come in and compete. And so not just groom him, but compete for time and for playing. And he's a very physical, very athletic guy that can do those things and help us immediately.
Joined now by Indiana State coach Brian Cabral, defensive coordinator and outside linebacker coach, talking a little bit about Tony Fair. Now, what kind of went into his recruiting process?
Well, Tony signed with us a year ago, and I would say there was just some technical difficulties that we had to go through that have been since worked out. And so we were able to re-sign him, and very happy about that.
What kind of player is he?
Well, Tony is he is a big 6'1", 300-pound athletic nose guard. And so, you know, he's a guy that our defense needs. He's a guy that we miss. We need a big fella in the middle of our defense.
Right. Now, he's a former teammate of current ISU Sycamore, Haki Woods, correct?
Yes. The ironic thing about that is Haki came here last year. We recruited them both. And in all reality, it was Tony Fair that told us about Haki. And so we ended up recruiting Haki as well, and Haki got here first.
Well, excellent. Now, back to Tony. How important is it to have somebody with his athletic build?
Well, I think in order for us to compete for the Missouri Valley Conference Championship, we need some girth. We need some bigger bodies on the inside to compete with, you know, bigger offensive lines. And so he fits a great need for us, and really I think defensively the next step for us is to match size with size.
Great. Well, we look forward to seeing him on the field next year. Joined now by Indiana State offensive lineman coach Vince Natale. Now, you guys signed a kid in Wyatt Wozniak out of Texas.
Yep, Wyatt's a great kid out of Cypress Woods High School. Projects as a future center for us here.
Excellent. Now, he's a high-caliber offensive lineman in high school. Where do you kind of foresee him making an impact in the future here?
I see him being able to come from a very sophisticated high school offense that performed very well in their league. 5,000 yards of offense, and he's already familiar with the shotgun snap offense, which isn't an easy thing to do. I see him developing into our starting center in years to come.
And you guys just lost your starting center to graduation, so what's it going to be like to try to fill that position?
Yeah, Aaron Jelovic was our all-conference center from last season. Great kid that worked his tail off for us. I don't think that we will be able to replace him soon. I think that's something we have to address in spring practice and with our current roster for next season. But going forward in the future, I see Wyatt playing a role there.
Now, what kind of jumped off to you on tape for Wyatt?
Wyatt does a lot of things for his offense, and you know that's resembles an intelligent player, one that they trust. You see them leading out on screens and reverses, which from a center position, usually you don't have that guy doing that. So it's good to see that, and even at the high school level with his offense, they were able to trust him to do that, and I'm sure we'll be able to trust him just the same here.
Now, what kind of history can you tell us about Wyatt and his family in regards to ISU?
Oh, the Wozniak family lineage goes back a while now. Austin's father played here in the 80s. Wyatt's brother Austin played here just a few years back, was an all-conference fullback. So, we look forward to seeing them back around campus when Wyatt will be playing. And hopefully he'll be an all-conference caliber player too.
Yeah, well, we look forward to seeing the Wozniak lineage continue here at Indiana State. Well, you've met the 2015 recruiting class now. Coach, a few closing statements from you.
Well, I just want to say we're very excited about this class. We're excited about what we added to it. I think you can see how our coaches feel about it. I want to give a quick shout out to our coaches' wives. They were instrumental in our recruiting class. They got to know a lot of the parents, and I just want to say we appreciate them. I want to invite you all to come out, watch spring practice. We start spring practice. We have 15 days starting March 23rd. We culminate that with a weekend, our spring game, and mentoring networking dinner for former players and for our current players will be April 24th. And then our football golf tournament will be Saturday, April 25th. So mark your calendars for those days. The other thing I want to say too is I know that all of our coaches have talked a lot about how we learned about a lot of these players that we've signed through camps. And I just want to say that we're going to have very soon our schedule for our camps. We're going to have camps throughout the state of Indiana, and it's a great opportunity. Many of the guys that we have signed today, we found out about them through camps. And so I really encourage you to come to our camps.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us on this very special Signing Day 2015 with head coach Mike Sanford. I'm Meghan McKeown. Go Sycamores.